Hello, welcome to Tech Britain TV. My name's Imran Azam, and as you can see, we're here at Pavilion Dance, which is the venue for Silicon Beach 2013. This fellow you have standing next to me is Dave Birss. You've probably heard of him. He's all over the internet. His story is quite an eclectic one, if I can give you a few samples. He has been a stand-up comedian, so that's the two of us, a nude model, get rid of those thoughts, a session musician, farmhand, busker, veterinary assistant, dishwasher, breakfast show DJ.
I was, yeah.
Okay, graffiti artist, poet, university lecturer, and all-round not able to stick at one thing at any one time.
Pretty much. It's corporate ADD. I think it's what to think. I get bored very easily, and I've even from advertising. I was in advertising for the best part of 20 years, and just 3 years ago I thought it's time to do something else.
Time to do something else. Well, if Dave decides to walk off in the middle of this, you'll know why. He'll just have got bored and decided this is not for him. So, seeing that it's probably safe to say you are a little bit non-conformist. What's driving you at this moment in time?
I just get excited about so many things. Having a short attention span is actually, well, to me, being dyslexic and having ADD are incredible blessings. That's a lot of people. If I was in an American school right now, I'd be in Ritalin. But I think that they're damping down incredible opportunities within their youth by doing that. Because when you've got ADD and you have to deal with it, or you've got dyslexia and you have to deal with it and find your ways around, it gives you a different approach to life. And I just do stuff that excites me. So 10 days ago, just because I could, I built an app. And I'm trying to get that app into the App Store now. Never having done that before, but it's a learning experience, and I just like to do stuff that I learn from.
Can't you just go and get a proper job?
I've had the proper job. I don't want a proper job. I don't.
I'm just telling you what people tell me.
I know. I'm poor, but I'm happy, and I do stuff that I enjoy, and I'm fortunate to have a very, very patient family.
Is it better to be poor and happy or rich and content?
Oh, this is going to get all philosophical now. I think you need those moments of joy in your life, and I think contentment probably wouldn't give me those moments of joy, and I think that I've got this creative thing inside me that will always
spike.
As soon as I feel content and comfortable, that's it. I need to move on.
Okay, so seeing that both of us are a bit prone to going for tangents, let's add some structure to this particular interview. So I've been reading about Burnback.
Yes.
And this marketing genius from the 50s in America, who basically introduced concepts. I mean, you tell us, he introduced certain ideas which have lived with us to this day, and then I'll ask you about how we need to move on from that. But what did Burnback do?
I mean, Burnback was amazing. His first thing really in advertising that he's credited for is what we call the creative team. Before that, you used to get writers, and you would get people who would do visualizers, illustrators, and they were in separate floors. So the writers would come up with a headline and some copy and an idea of what it might look like, and it'd all be typed out. And this would go to the visualizers, and the visualizers would then do up a visual, and it would run. And these people were separated, and what Burnback did was he brought them together and realized that two minds working together, it's 1 and 1 equals 3. You get so much more out of that. So he did that, but really what his whole thing about was a reaction to what was happening in American advertising at the time. So it was all very sort of nuclear family of, buy a Cadillac. It was that kind of advertising, and it was really cheesy, and people didn't... I think people post-war were getting a bit tired of this and felt that the corporations weren't talking to them. And what Burnback did was his approach was more like a conversation. And he would be doing stuff that felt as if it's more the voice of the people. It had wit in it. People enjoyed it, and they shared this kind of stuff and talked about it. So in many ways, if we think about what marketers talk about these days, they talk about getting something to spread, about it being social currencies, see if it can go viral. He was doing stuff that in many ways had that approach in the 1950s, because it was pieces of work that would get talked about and would end up getting parodies done of it on TV shows and things. That, to me, is what viral stuff is.
Okay, so if we fast forward 50 years, or 60 years, we'll find that these same principles are relevant now as they were then. But you've got a slightly different take on where things should be going and how organizations should work with agencies, really. Not really I mean, I'm paraphrasing it, but not really to do away with agencies, but to take more ownership over the actual message that's being delivered before they engage with agencies. Is that right?
Yeah, well, it's kind of, I mean, what I'm about is it's not necessarily about the message. To me, we've got clients have got something they want to do, or a big brand, so they've got a problem they're wanting solved. So they go to an advertising agency, but they do that through several layers of people in their marketing department. And then that goes to the advertising agency. It goes through several layers until it gets to the person at the end who's the creative, who's coming up with the idea for stuff. So you've got the person who's got the problem here, you've got all these layers until you get to the person who's coming up with the idea here. So creativity is absolutely divorced from the problem itself. And it's got all these layers of, to be honest, what is relatively mundane process. And it didn't used to be like that. It used to be that when Burnback was doing this, they would go in to see the clients. The clients are the people who'd be running the company very often, not even a marketing director. The people who are running the company, and the agency goes in, and the creatives would be there, and the creatives would be solving the problem, applying creativity to solve a problem. That problem was generally awareness or more sales or whatever in those days. So we've got this thing now that there's such a separation between the creatives and the people who've got the problem at the top of the company that it's not effective. What we need to do is get the creative thinking back up here, and it's when you put the creative thinking there, it might be that you solve the problem through creativity, not by using advertising at all. It might be that you're changing the product in some way, which is actually the main thing that companies need to do these days, brands, because their products aren't necessarily good enough in the marketplace, and we know that advertising is the tax you pay in having a bad product. So if we get the product right, then we don't need the whole persuasion communication thing as much, because the product itself has marketing built into it.
Why are you in Bournemouth?
To host this event, because they're the very
hosting?
lovely. Yes, I'm hosting it. So
Second time you're hosting it?
yeah, second time. And Matt Desmier, for some reason, I don't think he got the court order through in time, and I ended up coming back and taking the stage. He had no option at that point. So I think until the lawyers get it sorted out, maybe tomorrow they can drag me away.
This is, I suppose, an extremely relevant question for you. Where do you stand on the Scottish vote coming up? I mean, are you pro-independence or are you pro-union? I mean, this is a highly important topic for the tech community to know.
It is. I will say, first of all, I haven't lived in Scotland for nearly 20 years, so I don't feel I've got the right to say. I know that independence is something that's a beautiful dream, and people love the dream, the emotional idea of this. William Wallace of you can take our lives, but you cannot take our freedom, kind of stuff. But people love all that stuff. But we have to understand economically, can Scotland stand on its own 2 feet? I'm not sure. So I'm going to sit in the fence and say that I love the dream, I'm just not convinced of the reality.
Glad you took my question so seriously. Actually, that was very sweet of you.
Sorry, do you just want a fart gag in there?
Right, Dave. So you're going to be hanging around the rest of the day, obviously.
Yes, I'm not allowed to go anywhere.
Yes, of course, yes. Otherwise, who's going to host? Probably ask me. That's not a good idea. All right, listen, thanks very much for joining us. No doubt we'll be hearing from you again. If not today, then we'll bump into you at some point.
Fantastic. Thank you, Imran.
No problem. So there you have it. Dave Birss, surname I've never come across, but there he is. Our very own Scotsman in Bournemouth. Not pro-independence, not pro-union, sitting on the fence. And a technology man through and through, and a lot of other things through and through as well. We'll be back with other interesting characters later.